You see the largest financial institution in the world, the Blackrock, like has tens and tens of thousands of Bitcoin, hundreds of thousands. It's like, if I had a shop, I wouldn't have like, here, this is $20 or $20 worth of Bitcoin. I'd be like, okay, no, it's $20. Or if you give me $15 worth of Bitcoin, I'll prefer Bitcoin. Like, they're the ones that should be driving this. Like, because it doesn't make any sense for you if you have, Cash App. Okay, you could spend dollars or you could spend Bitcoin from your Cash App. But if the shopkeeper is willing to take the same amount of dollars worth as the Bitcoin, is like, well, I'm going to keep the Bitcoin then, because if he's going to accept the dollars equally, I'll give him the dollars. Right. Okay.
As the world's financial landscape rapidly evolves, one digital asset, Bitcoin, is redefining what it means to hold and preserve value in the modern economy. Stacy Herbert, an American television presenter, writer, and producer, recently highlighted a major financial shift as more companies choose to hold their cash reserves in Bitcoin instead of traditional currencies. This move, she explains, signals a deep transformation in how global markets view money and value storage. Herbert believes that when energy and oil companies begin adopting Bitcoin, it will trigger a major revolution in financial thinking. Reflecting on the early days of Bitcoin, she recalls how, between 2010 and 2012, it was easy to obtain through online faucets that distributed free coins. People, including Herbert herself, gave away Bitcoin casually, unaware of its future worth. She describes this early distribution as part of Bitcoin's intelligent design, helping it spread globally and build trust, especially in nations struggling with unstable economies. Today, even large institutions like BlackRock hold vast amounts of Bitcoin, signaling its acceptance as a legitimate store of value. Unlike fiat money, which is issued and controlled by central banks, Bitcoin is created through a decentralized process called mining. Both Bitcoin and fiat currencies rely on public trust to function as money, but Bitcoin stands apart as a borderless, independent, and sound digital asset for the modern era. If you found this insight valuable, subscribe for more finance updates, share this video with fellow crypto enthusiasts, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on Bitcoin's growing role in the global economy.
Cash reserves and Bitcoin instead, that's a different sort of signal than the speculative attack sort of model that we're seeing at the moment.
100%.
Yeah, and it makes sense to me that they would want to keep their treasury, their cash holdings in Bitcoin. To me, it seems obvious. And I think we've said that long ago about the oil companies or the oil countries like Abu Dhabi, that they should be holding gold, Bitcoin instead. So that will be an interesting move. And there are the first gold companies starting to do it. But once you see the energy companies, that's going to be the real mind shift happening. The mindset is shifting radically in the markets if that happens. I also think just having lived it and experienced it and observed it and regretted many things is like spending Bitcoin back in 2010 or 11 or 12, is that it seems like the design of Bitcoin is such that it is what it needs to be at that moment to get maximum distribution. So Bitcoin found us. We were one of the most widely distributed financial news programs in the world on a platform that was already attracting contrarian thinkers. Right. So they weren't orthodox thinkers who wanted to hear that how great the banks were and Wall Street and how the system would continue as is. It was already naturally, our audience was already naturally like inclined to think something's wrong. What the heck is going on out there? So if we had the right audience. Now, Bitcoin at that time was so abundant and so easy to get. And people probably have heard this, these sort of tweets go viral every once in a while, that there used to be these faucets where you could get 5 Bitcoin for free. All you had to do was put in a Bitcoin address and they would send you 5 Bitcoin. I've made lots of Bitcoin that way and gave it away to friends and family. And it seemed so easy at that time. So like, what it does to your psychology is like, oh, I got 5 15 free Bitcoin this week from the faucet. So here, friend, take 10 Bitcoin. I'll just get some more next time, next week. So it seemed easy. And so you were distributing it easy. And of course, that free Bitcoin came from Matti Malmi. It came from Gavin Andreessen. They each had a faucet and they gave away 30,000 Bitcoin each. So I'm sure, it doesn't feel good today to look back and think, wow, I gave away those 30,000 Bitcoin. But at that time, that was a psychology. It was like an evolutionary sort of tactic for Bitcoin, because had they kept it and had there only been like 1,000 people in Bitcoin or 500 people in Bitcoin as there were back then it wouldn't be what it is today, right? So they had to spread it. They had to give it away. It had to be distributed to Argentina, which was a big early adopter because of their financial crisis. It had to be spread around the world as far as possible. So it does seem like almost by intelligent design, right?
From a few free coins shared online to a trillion-dollar financial revolution, Bitcoin's story is one of evolution, innovation, and unstoppable global impact. Stacy Herbert reveals that Bitcoin's journey has followed what she calls an evolutionary design, a natural process that allowed it to grow, adapt, and spread across the world. In its early days, Bitcoin was given away freely by users who didn't realize they were parting with an asset that would one day reshape global finance. Herbert explains that this early generosity was essential for Bitcoin's survival, much like how nature ensures the strongest systems evolve. She adds that Bitcoin found its ideal audience through platforms like the Kaiser Report, which attracted people skeptical of traditional banking and open to financial innovation. Herbert also highlights Jack Dorsey's early involvement, noting that he began exploring Bitcoin in 2008 and has since used his company Block to promote Bitcoin adoption worldwide, especially in developing regions. His focus on building rather than hoarding aligns with Bitcoin's original community-driven spirit. Today, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have grown from digital experiments to trillion-dollar technologies, challenging the dominance of traditional financial systems. Increasingly, investors use Bitcoin not only as a store of value but also to purchase goods and services, from digital assets to everyday items, signaling a historic shift toward decentralized, global money. Let's get back to interview.
That it found, people giving it away who didn't realize that they were giving away such a valuable asset that they could never get again. It tricked, like that's what evolution does, right? These are evolutionary tactics that trick like some sort of parasite to take your barnacles off the whale. Like, they designs things to work perfectly in a harmonious system and survive and thrive the best. And it found Kaiser Report, which has the right audience to distribute it the most widely. And so right now, it's telling people to stockpile as hard as possible. And I see why Jack Dorsey, he was at an event that we were at. He spoke at an event in South Carolina, and he mentioned that he first got involved in Bitcoin on October 31st, 2008. So that was like at the white paper was published and he read that. Yeah. He downloaded it that day. So he's an early Bitcoiner who was around at that time when people were giving it away, spreading it wide. And so when you see it now that nobody spends it, nobody invests it, nobody, I could see why, like where he's coming from, the context for where he is that he was there when people were spreading it around. And, he does a lot of amazing work. His stack that he's developing for Block is pretty impressive. And he's very generous with his Bitcoin and all sorts of programs in the developing world. And so I think, he has a lot of Bitcoin. So I think probably it's him trying to encourage his, other OGs and whales to keep on building and spreading the Bitcoin rather than hoarding it on these corporate treasury balance sheets. That's where, we're having been there in those early days. I imagine this is where he's feeling, anxiety about this. But I just think Bitcoin is where it has to be. It tricks us all the time. So I'm sure, there will be the same sort of feeling maybe one day of people saying, I created a Bitcoin treasury company instead of doing this. I should have been doing this at that time, right? So who knows where it will go from there. But I understand, and I agree as well with Max that maybe it needs to be $1 million a coin or 2 million, or we don't know until it gets there, until when people start spending it, but they have to be earning it. As long as we have a fiat currency, that Gresham's law would suggest that people are going to spend their shitty money instead, right? So you're always going to have that problem but they have an imperfect money and a crappy money to spend. They're going to spend the one that's trash, right? So you have to, either the price has to be higher. People have to be earning more Bitcoin as a salary, so that they don't even have the option of having fiat to spend, to get rid of that psychology. It's all about psychology, right? Markets, the businesses, all these if I had a business and I was selling something, if I had a shop and I was selling something, and you see these countries developing strategic Bitcoin reserves, and you see all these, the best and brightest, the smartest people in the room, creating Bitcoin treasury companies, and you see this speculative attack, and you see the largest financial institution in the world, the Blackrock, has tens and tens of thousands of Bitcoin, hundreds of thousands. It's like, if I had a shop, I wouldn't have here, this is $20 or $20 worth of Bitcoin. I'd be like, okay, no, it's $20. Or if you give me $15 worth of Bitcoin, I'll prefer Bitcoin. They're the ones that should be driving this, because it doesn't make any sense for you. If you have, Cash App, okay, you could spend dollars or you could spend Bitcoin from your Cash App.
Bitcoin's evolution from a digital curiosity to a dominant financial asset highlights its growing integration with traditional markets. Recent analysis comparing Bitcoin to fiat currencies reveals that both share similar bearish market behaviors and comparable relationships with fixed income and gold markets, suggesting Bitcoin's increasing maturity as a financial instrument. However, their differing connections with stock and crude oil markets underline Bitcoin's unique market dynamics and independence from conventional assets. This distinction reinforces Bitcoin's position as both a hedge and a transformative force in global finance. As volatility and inflation challenge traditional currencies, Bitcoin continues to stand out as a decentralized, resilient alternative, bridging innovation and stability in the modern financial ecosystem. Can Bitcoin truly evolve into a stable global financial asset while maintaining its decentralized nature, or will its growing correlation with traditional markets eventually make it behave like the very system it set out to replace? If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to stay updated on the latest crypto and finance insights, share this video with fellow Bitcoin enthusiasts, and leave a comment below to tell us your thoughts on where Bitcoin is headed next.